Yeah, the good old days when we actually did gaming streams. Who knows how much time we're going to have for that upcoming. I think I do want to play them more. I want to stream more often in general. I just think one of the issues is that I don't really have a good mental framework for how to engage in a long-term stream at the moment that isn't just me covering, because I'm going to be honest, like, chat's actually been really pissing me off lately. It's bad form to admit it as a streamer, I acknowledge this, because you have to come across unflappable, and also I'm kind of insulting people who sustain my livelihood. But man, if you go and watch like any, and I've been watching a lot of Northern Line lately, it is so easy to bounce off that chat. You tell jokes, they laugh. You tell jokes, they laugh. You tell jokes. That it's like a perfect, the synchronicity. And I see it with Hassan's chat as well when I do see it, where for the most part they're just kind of like party to it, and you take little bits of it to rant about. But you need to have like a quality backing to that. And lately it's just been like inane questions non-stop. Like every time I look at chats, like the same dozen or so people, half of whom I now primarily associate with a mode of conversational engagement that pisses me off. You can leave it to your own presumptions as to who exactly I'm referring to. With that one, I wonder what it was like back when I streamed, like, earlier. I wonder if that was different, if like entrenchment in the community and chat leads to people getting more presumptuous and annoying, or if it's just like it was the same back then, but I've been more peevish with it. I wonder. Not really sure. Going back and investigating that question, though, probably won't actually fix anything. Yeah, Malopsy, I think you're right. My interaction with chat basically guarantees that the only reason people would participate in site chat is if they want my attention constantly. So, like that, so the majority of their messages will be like directly talking to me. That's a big difference. That always annoys me when people in chat talk directly to me. They're acting like they're not part of an audience, but rather like directly engaging with me. I can tell the difference, okay? But that's what happens when you engage so much with site chat. People will come on because they want to talk to you, or they all have their own bits or whatever. Nah, Alice, they like the mutes. They like the mutes. They enjoy them. They love the mutes. It's not a punishment. But if I engage with chat less, I feel like that would just mean people would chat less, and I'd have even less of a bouncing wall, or like a wall to ping pong things off of. Vaush been like this since he got back from Spain. I have no idea what they did to him over there. Well, I touched grass, essentially, and then I came back and I was like, wait, I don't have to resent my community. It's not obligatory for me to resent my community. What'd they do to him? They fed me delicious €3.49 breakfasts. But that's when you start resenting us? No, Mr. Goodsocks, I'd felt that way for years prior. That was when I started talking about it. Anyway, it's not like there's any point in talking about it with chat, because it's like such a specific, it's like such a niche sectoral problem to have. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, in this one field where there are like maybe a few thousand people who deal with the issue that I'm talking about, you know? Like here's something, some like obscene concern in which you take issue with innocuous behavior from people who give you money. It doesn't land. It's not sympathetic. But man, those $3.49 breakfasts, whew, they really get you on the grass touching. Thank you, Zazaban, person with a very long name. Still watch you even if I disagree with you a whole lot more than I do. You're hilarious, honestly. Yeah, it's the comedic banter that matters most. You know, it is difficult to do that. You sure you like live streaming? I hope you enjoyed chatting while you had it. See, that's the problem. You can't talk about it because people start getting out of line. You're like, hey, there's elements of chat culture that I find obnoxious. People's like deliberate behavior that bothers me a little. And they're like, maybe you hate your job. Maybe actually like this is a larger problem than what you're talking. Well, okay. Armchair psychoanalyze at your own peril. The comedic banter is 80% of why I tune in. It's the only reason I tune in. I would never do this if I was doing like more consultant work, or if this was like a straight collared suit and tie going to the office news show kind of deal, you know? That would be miserable. I would hate that. I like the jokes. I don't know, the political analysis is fine and all, but you know, the jokes are the fun part. But it is about like maintaining that environment, I feel. Let's get like a proper example. See, look, and I'm referring to an example that is, relevant to me. Wait, hold on. Yes. And now? Yeah, because that's like the only stream I'm watching right now. See, for those of you who don't know, typically, A chat looks like this. YouTube chat is blighted and cursed, not only in my chat, but in every chat. And the reason for that is because there's a specific culture to Twitch streaming where people participate in a way where they, it's conducive to direct interaction. There's a reason why people who Twitch stream will often talk to their chat, and people who YouTube stream often don't even engage with their chat. That's the case, like, almost across the board. Like, huge numbers of, like, basically every YouTube streamer that I've ever seen flat out does not engage with YouTube chat. And it's not necessarily because the people who use the YouTube chat are less, less bearable or whatever. It's just that they don't have the culture of... I mean, earlier I said lol W, and a bunch of people in YouTube chat typed LOL space W. What can I say? You know? It's blighted. Is it fair to say the content of stream broad politics is really unfunny right now? Well, no, you can be funny, like, basically no matter what's happening or what's going on. Like, Hassan's stream, for the most part, keeps the appropriate tone, though I think it helps that his stream is larger. That's another thing too, because a Twitch streamer, everyone who's watching is watching on Twitch, so you can chat on Twitch, like you're right there. Whereas in my case, the audience is split. Well, yeah, I'm not defending Hassan's mods. I'm just talking about the community. Maybe this is why the majority report's able to keep things a little more in line with what they want to do as opposed to other streamers, because they don't directly engage with chat except for members. Yeah, well, exactly, right? There's nothing to bounce off of. Certainly not for comedy. Listen, comedy's hard in a live setting. Keep that going for 4 or 5 hours? You kidding me? Here, let's riff about politics and be funny about it live every day. Very difficult, a difficult element of an otherwise easy job. The majority report has its own problems with the stupid callers they frequently have on. Yes, and I've seen that, and doing that would make me want to die, which is why we don't do any viewer call-ins anymore, and we never will again. You all ruined it, and there's no changing it. But that might just be inevitable. Like if Hassan did viewer call-ins, the same thing would happen. That's just the consequence of having viewer call-ins. I mean, from my perspective, it's mostly, I think, how do I put it? If you can imagine from like an outside perspective, how much of a person's delivery on stream is like a consistently engaging kind of, like it draws you in, and how much of it is just like increasingly paying attention to a small number of whales and parasocial people who demand your attention more and more than everyone else. So eventually, like 40 to 60% of the banter in a stream isn't original observations or comedic such and such or witty banter, but rather like here are like the 5 people who are always in chat. We talk to them basically. That's what you have to watch out for. Of course, in a material sense, I'm incentivized to lean in on that because y'all motherfuckers pay my rent. But not just your boy coming. But it's still going on, see? I feel stupid even saying this, but it's like for a point of comparison, you know? It's a huge difference in the general tone. And if people are all doing their own thing in chat, you want to make a comedic point, you select one message and bounce off it. You motherfuckers... I literally said, like, I stopped biting my nails. I look at chat for something to bounce off of, and the first message that pops up is, what's wrong with biting your nails? Maybe if I was a bit more comedically inclined, I could have worked with that, but that felt like a hammer straight to the cerebral cortex. That felt like, that one right, that was like a dead blow hammer hit straight to the back of the neck. It's tough. It's not funny yelling, though, Benjamin. It's not funny yelling. The point's obvious. One interesting aspect of Vaush streams is that he reads the names of chatters that he reads. Other streamers just read the chat and never say who they were talking about. That is completely true. Maybe that shouldn't be done. You're right. There's probably a reason why people do that, right? Because if you don't have chat on stream and you don't say who you're responding to, you just immediately cut down, I feel, on the amount of like, watch me become secondary main character from chat bullshit that you admittedly see a ton of in my community. Not necessarily blaming them. I'm only a streamer because I did the same thing in Destiny's chat a decade ago. So, you know. That's true, Fluffernutter. I just did it! I wasn't even thinking. But I can't just say that's true with nothing else, I suppose. Do you want us to be brainless, lol W? chatters, or do you want us to be funny? Thunderhead Esther, you're misunderstanding what I'm saying. They're not even thinking about that. They're just reacting to what's happening on stream with emotes. You see? That's the culture of live streaming that you see on Twitch and Kick and so on. YouTube doesn't, because YouTube's not primarily a live streaming platform. It's not about being funny. It's just reacting to the stream. YouTube is brain dead. Well, arguably, no. It's not even a matter of being brain dead. Because this is pretty brain dead. It's just it's like the mode of engage. Okay, is that good though? Yes. Of course. Absolutely. 100%. Arguably, it's the opposite. YouTube's more thoughtful, but to the extent they think they're the center of attention. 100%, yeah. It's just more difficult to work with. Which is, again, why YouTube streamers basically never acknowledge their YouTube chats. Have you seen what YouTube chats look like? I think your current style of interacting with chat is very appealing to chat, but perhaps much less to you. Well, actually, I disagree because not a lot of people actually participate in VGG chat, you know? There are a lot of people who watch from VGG, but not a lot of people who participate in it, you know? Your YouTube chat is a mess. Well, yeah, they're like outside the gate, you know? Too many lurkers? Not necessarily too many lurkers. I just feel like it's a system that mostly prioritizes the interests of like I repeat the same names every stream. Like quite a bit, you know? What's wrong with lurking? Well, it's not really about anything being wrong with lurking. It's just like what incentivizes the greatest degree of participation. That makes sense. What if we just ban them? That's a good idea. I agree. Vaush treats YouTube chat like how the DNC treats their base. With absolute contempt. Now you're getting it. I do read YouTube chat sometimes. Usually it's because if I look at YouTube chat, I feel like I'm getting a brief respite from the aforementioned like dozen or so people and the dynamic of how they want to engage with stream that day. Something to actually bounce off of. I guess it's just a matter of like how much a person watching could sympathize with the idea that there's a huge difference between a mode of chat that works for a specific like outcome and a mode of chat that works towards being able to riff, you know, with the other specific outcome, I guess, being something more along the lines of offline chat. Doesn't Autobot mute/ban people for emote spam here? Yeah, maybe we need to like make spam easier. I'll talk to White Nervosa. We need more spam. I wonder if I should activate YouTube membership at some point, not only because it would make me money, but also because then I could throw some emotes in there that aren't the like god-awful, blighted, ultra-cursed YouTube emotes, which are like, I don't know, they're like using like embedded emotes on a off-brand Chinese version of a defunct social media platform from 1996 or something. It's like, what is that, you know? I don't even know what the fuck they mean. Chat speeding up. You know what I think? I think that chat engagement is a lot higher when it's lower IQ engagement, because when people are mostly just directly proposing information, asking questions, back and forthing, chatting, so on, they're aware of the fact that because the engagement is contingent upon my response, I can only respond to so many people at a time. Why everyone dump a response to an event if the event in question prompts a question that I'm going to answer? It can't be everyone, but everyone likes typing little W. You happy now, Vaush? I am, as a matter of fact. I know. Whenever I talk about this stuff, I open myself up to criticism from like a very select crowd of people who don't like to hear streamers ever complain, for one, or people who are like, you know, haha, he's unhappy with X or Y. For the most part, I really do think it's not even a people or a person thing. It's just a mode of engagement. And it makes me a lot happier, the idea of riffing, if I look and there's a good wall to bounce it off of. I wonder, there's probably someone who's codified better terminology for this. Does that make sense? Like somebody who has a better, there's terminology out there that would better describe the dynamic and functions and incentives that I'm talking about. And in lieu of those, I'm kind of just like rambling a little bit. In both directions, Tempest, for sure. But Tempest, you know exactly what I mean, right? You know what I mean. It's not, again, it's not even a matter of like people in YouTube chat are like a such and such. You know what I mean? Like a reflection of their interpersonal behavior or dynamic. I think it's just an incentive structure thing. I think Ludwig's model for chat engagement works well. What is that? I've never actually watched Ludwig, though everything I've seen gives me the impression he's a cool guy. Ludwig appears to have 2,000 followers on Twitch, which seems unlikely to me. Is Ludwig perhaps not Ludwig's Twitch? Oh, he's YouTube exclusive. Oh, okay. Wait, then that might make for a more like direct comparison. Spectacular. He's live now. Let's see. It's subscribers only mode right now, so it's not really representative. It's a Smash tourney that's live now. Oh, so it's not a normal stream. Let me go to a normal stream. Hold on, not like a big tourney stream. Most YouTube chats that aren't awful are always subscriber only. That's true, but I kind of already have my website, you know? Here we go. Are these the same? They are. Okay, it's the same chat. He has YouTube chat up there. Or does he? Are those the same? Top chat replay. Oh, live chat replay. There we go. Yeah. He has a delay. No, I know that. I was wondering how he has the emotes working. He doesn't have them as like set emotes for Anyway, it's interesting. It's a plugin he uses. Yes, I understand that. I wonder if having like different chat lengths, like during some streams they were longer and other were short. I'm not really sure. Maybe just ignore people who don't add anything meaningful to the conversation. Oh, I shouldn't have read yours then. No, I kid. Well, it's still a broader culture thing. I don't know. I have to think of it. It's difficult. It's very difficult. Why is everyone getting their messages deleted in YouTube chat right now? Well, because they're using emotes. Samuel, don't delete messages because people are emoting. That's the whole damn point. I remember when I was playing Shadow of the Erdtree and I was having a conversation that was kind of parallel to this with chat, and I was having a difficult time explaining what Twitch chat is like, and because I was saying talk about the game, because often when I'll do a game stream, people will be like, "Hello, Vaush, I've been looking to ask you this question for a long time. Can you please give me advice on how to tell my parents that I'm gay?" It's like, fuck, I can't. I'm playing a game. But I also said, don't talk about the future of the game. Like, don't talk about what's going to happen in the game, because that's spoilers. It's not a therapy. Yeah, it's not a therapy session. It's not spoilers. Just talk about what's happening now. And someone was like, so wait, you don't want us to talk about non-game subjects, but you don't want us to talk about the game? What do you want us to talk about? And it occurred to me that I guess unless you're familiar with the experience of watching a live streamer who isn't me or who just plays games or whatever, you might not understand the concept of just reacting to the things that happen in the game. Like, I kill an enemy and then your people pog. Like that, like literally at that level. But unless you're familiar with it, it might not actually be an appreciable... Does that make sense? Isn't that odd? Like, because if you think about it, it's not that strange, I think, for it to be unintuitive to somebody, because it makes a bunch of sense if you're even remotely familiar with the practice. But if you're not, I guess, I don't know. It's just odd. It's odd to think about. Politics is an inherently conversational thing, but the game streams aren't. That's true, but I think I want it to be less conversational in general. I'm the streamer after all, right? You know, it makes sense that I would be sort of producing the lion's share of the you know, control over the conversation or the dynamic. Then why are you currently having a conversation? Well, for now we're at least not reading people's names out loud. I think that's actually a pretty important difference. Vaush getting more and more done with chat is so funny. It is the responsibility of a live streamer to maintain some degree of contempt for their audience, and vice versa. That is true. That is 100% correct. That is the natural state of things. It's like a service worker and their customer. The service worker is supposed to hate the customer, at least a little bit. Not to the extent that it causes any like interpersonal issues, but there has to be that underlying note of antagonism. Likewise, I have to resent you and you have to resent me, which you should. I have the easiest job in the world. I'm complaining right now that that my non-Twitch viewers don't PogChamp. You know, like it's a remarkably silly, like, you can mock me for it, that's fine, but the dynamic has to be preserved. The problem is then when people in chat get too precious about it, and then you can't mock them because it's like, well, I didn't realize this was a live stream chat. I thought this was a delivery mechanism for me to rant about my problems and get like sincere diagnoses of what's wrong and what can be done, and like political analysis and evaluation, which obviously I can't do for everybody, even though people do like to email me. They do like to email me. I am a service worker. Definitionally, I am a service worker. 100%. And I do feel that contempt. And we are serving. Anyway, it's a difficult subject to touch on because it's very ephemeral. It's very, culture is shaped by circumstance. So there might be changes to chat that could facilitate that. But I personally would much rather like work to address that and develop a dynamic that works best for everyone than not talk about it and be resentful. Like not resentful in a healthy way, like resentful in like an actually unhappy way. That's how I was before I went to Spain. When I came back from Spain, what was that now? Like 9 months ago, 8 months, something like that. When I came back, my thought was like, hold on a second. It's my goddamn community. It's my motherfucking community. I can mold the site like clay. Well, White Nervosa molds the site like clay, and I sort of like, I ask them politely when I want that done. So, some variety and power there. And I'll say, people in YouTube chat, how do you feel? You get where I'm coming from on this? And again, this isn't meant as like a disparagement of you specifically. It's kind of like the culture procured by the circumstances of your environment. But sometimes, especially, I think, because I feel a bit down lately. Why? Well, if you've been paying attention to the news, some political stuff happened. I don't know the details. But, when I'm feeling a little I often look at chat and it's just people earnestly expressing their opinions or asking questions. It's one of the reasons why I've grown increasingly testy when people ask questions that have already been addressed by chat or like by the segment. I'm trying to think. There's a very specific... Oh, people keep asking like, well, what's going to happen in the future? Could X happen? Will X happen? And that, to me, like you look at and you're looking for a comedy riff, and then you look at chat and it's like 3 different people with some version of like, asking me for help. Oh, yeah. You know what I mean? It's like it's a deflationary. I'm not personally insulting or indicting anyone who does this. I think it's a product of how I engage, So I have to be a little disciplined, because I'm not going to blame anyone. Like, considering the state of the world right now, I don't blame you for wanting some guidance or reassurance. I do blame myself for responding in a way that often then makes me feel in my head like, oh, that took the wind out from my sails. Does that make sense? Because then after I feel bad, because then there would have been like a comedic tenor to the whole dynamic that I then shoot in the foot, because then you get me. You all get me. But you do need to look at chat. One thing that doesn't work is not looking at chat at all unless you have other people on the call. If you're talking to other people, who cares? But you need chat as like a guiding light at the very least. If you're talking about anything like what's the tone, what's the reaction, that's one of the reasons why people reacting is so important rather than people just asking questions or making points, because often I am talking about something else and not directly engaging in conversation, and I can't get a read on how people are on the pulse exactly if people are just waiting for me to stop talking so they can ask follow-up questions. You know what I mean? It's like the difference between reading the passive visual language of a classroom full of students looking attentively at you as you talk versus the active, I have now stopped talking, any questions. Like, imagine if you were giving a class presentation and the only way to get any kind of feedback from the audience would be to, like, when you turn around and say, okay, any questions? Like, if you're just looking at the whiteboard until you're done talking and then you turn around and you're like, any questions? And it's like, well, fuck, that means I might be looking at the whiteboard for like 8 minutes while talking with no feedback. And that sucks. I've always considered what I do to be more similar to a stand-up comedian than a news host because I cover news, but the way I approach it is by trying to keep the vibe of so on of like a certain beat to presenting the information. It's more of the presentational element than it is the actual information covered. Crowd work is an art. It really is. And imagine being a stand-up comedian, but you always have your face turned away from the audience until you start doing the element of crowd work where you're looking for ask answers. Like you're looking away. That would be, I think most stand-up comedians would straight up seppuku. I think they would drive the dagger in, pull it up, twist, you know. I don't think they could do that. That would be rough. Always looking away? No way of knowing how people are engaging with what you're saying. I'm overselling the point right now, but that's what I mean about reacting as opposed to just asking questions or directly being conversational. And often it's my fault. You know, when I go silent for a bit and you can see me looking here, I'm waiting to see something in chat that gives me a prompt. That's on me. You know, it's just not easy. It's not easy. You know, you do it 4 or 5 hours in a day. Usually when I'm quiet, it's because I'm reading chat. That's why I can't read it for long, you know. Getting something that's just a few words a lot easier than reading through a few sentences on something to work with. Yeah. Chat character limit. I think some people would get really mad at that. Anyway, it's important to talk about this stuff. I mean, for me, it's not really important in your day-to-day lives, but it's important for me in terms of like understanding what I want. Think the lack of debates has affected the stream dynamic at all? No. And it's not like chat's gotten more annoying, because back when I did debates, I would crush a debate and then someone in chat would be like, I think you could have done better. Because in their mind, they're like, well, if I had been there, I would have corrected all 47 incorrect statements they made per minute. But every debate I did, it's like the way you win a debate is not by running down a list of everything they said wrong. It's by focusing on the center point of their argument, like the weakest one, the one that's most essential for them to keep you away from, and knocking it down. But every time I did a debate, somebody would be like, well, how did you let him get away with when he said X? And the answer is, he said like 50 wrong things in the debate. If you let yourself get derailed every time by correcting each one, you lose because you never hit at the central point. So no, the chat dynamic has not changed as a consequence of debating, more or less, because chat's always been really annoying about that, whether I do or don't them. So do or don't them. Do or don't do them. But I love complaining, so I don't really mind the opportunity to whine about it. Complaining is very fun, by the way. If anyone thinks this is an unpleasant process for me, I love it. It's giving voice to your feelings. A lot of people can't even articulate why they're frustrated with stuff. They just get more and more like, you know, pent up about it until eventually they, I don't know, have a psychotic break, strip down to their underwear, and go stand in the middle of the 5 until the police escort them away or something. I don't know. It's classic live streamer breakdown strats.